#1 vintage guitars. New Zealand's home of vintage guitars. I was just getting into it a bit there. We have an old friend back with us. This is the 2006 00028 VS. We did a video on this maybe about 9 months ago. It is back in shop and for sale again. This was recently traded back to the shop for another guitar here. A friend of mine purchased this guitar under my recommendation, and for the last 9 months he's been playing it a lot. We've kind of done some work on it, upgraded it a touch, done a neck reset on it. But first we'll just go over this model quickly. So this is a VS model, so that's vintage series. So this is kind of the precursor working your way to the authentic series, the golden era series, or the vintage series. So being a 2006, this is from the same year as my guitar, from this kind of period of time that I always talk about. Seems there was a lot of great things happening at Martin at that time. They were doing a lot of custom shop models, doing a lot of kind of revitalizing old body styles like this one. This is kind of on the internet, if you look around, a lot of people talk very highly of these, and they put them in kind of the top echelon of models that Martin have made, you know, recreations. So the 000 itself kind of started in about 1900. That's where you start to really see them first emerge. Up until then you had the single O, which was kind of like 1850, 1860, 70. The 00 started coming in 70, 80, and then the 000 came along. So this is a harkening back to that. So what we've got is we've got a 12 fret to the neck, which means we've got a little bit more real estate than your OM or your kind of traditional 14 fret 000. This is also 25.4 scale length, so it's the full scale length. But very nice guitar. Having that extra kind of inch of body room means you get a little bit more bass response. It has a rounder sound. I was talking about we upgraded this instrument, so it started off with Waveleys, which is very good. We've also got the slotted headstock, and in the case of the slotted headstock, what that really means is you have a little bit more tension on the guitar in general. So it's 25.4, that kind of tension that you'd be used to on a normal long length guitar or Martin, and then you have just a little bit more tension coming from the slotted headstock. But the upgrades that we have done to it is, first of all, it had a neck reset. When we got this into shop originally, it was had light strings on it, and this guitar sounded really good with light strings. That's a whole other kettle of fish, but the idea that you have to play lights on certain guitars and have to play mediums on certain guitars, that's all relevant. But ultimately, you should try, with whatever instrument you've got, you should try different tensions to see how it responds. For instance, on my own personal guitar, I tried putting mediums on it for a while, and I could just tell straight away, as soon as I put the mediums on, it just felt like there was too much tension on the guitar. It didn't actually sound as good as it did with lighter strings. In this case, we've just got the 12 to 54 Martin Phosphor Bronze on this. But the other work that we've done is we've upgraded the nut, saddle and bridge pins from standard bone that came with it. We've upgraded that to mammoth ivory. So you'll see some Martins come out of the factory with fossilized ivory. You've heard probably a lot about fossilized ivory. Mammoth ivory is one of those ivories that you can buy legally, and you can ship internationally. And the customer that purchased this guitar, he asked me, how can I get it a little bit sweeter? How can I make it sound just a little bit more vibrant? And I recommended, why don't we do a full mammoth setup? So the nut is mammoth, the saddle is mammoth, and this is a through saddle. This is the older through saddle, so it doesn't drop in, and actually has slits on either side of the pyramid bridge. And then we have mammoth pins. The mammoth pins are the most expensive part of this kind of upgrade, and I wanted to try them with this guitar. I wanted to try them out for a year or so to see how they sound. Pins is another thing that you can always be looking at to improve the sound of your guitar, and there's a lot of different avenues. One kind of golden rule is light is very good. That's why plastic pins and stuff get used often, is because they are light. But having organic material, I would say, is better than synthetic material. How do I say this? It was, let's just say it was created to vibrate properly. Synthetic stuff, I don't think it vibrates as well as bone or in this case, mammoth ivory. But I should also say the guy that set this up was Warren at Audio Zephyr. Audio Zephyr is our luthier that we use for all of our setup work and any maintenance work. So Warren set this all up, and if Warren had his way, he would have used horn pins instead, which are a little bit lighter. I'm just trying them out. Like I think it's important. You know, all this advice is great, but it's really pointing you down the right road. But you really need to experiment with these things yourself. So, you know, over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been messing around with pins, hearing how pins affect my guitar, and my impression is that the mammoth pins, being just a little bit denser, gives you something a little bit more to dig into. So I just become aware that I probably talked a little bit, I should play a little bit. But in the case of this guitar, it has a very sweet sound, and having the full scale length gives it a lot of punch. We were doing. I can see the EQ just out of the corner of my eye. So I'm just looking over there. I can't make a red line anymore, so. This just has a rounder sound compared to an OM, and all I can say is the reason we're trading is because we're trading up, and believe it or not, the guy who owned this had a couple of guitars with him, and he really liked this guitar, and we obviously put a lot of work into it, but then we were kind of looking around, and he's like, I want to get that guitar, so we're going to try and work our way up to it, what can go, and this one just sadly made the cut. But it was a pretty hard shootout. We had a 00028 authentic with the thin finish on it to compare to, and if you know those guitars, they're exceptional. And we also had the third guitar that we were kind of mulling over was a D18 authentic, and we all know that you can't get rid of them. So sadly this one has to go, but something that I've been learning about recently is learning more about top woods and kind of looking at them and getting a read on kind of what the top is like. So this top on this guitar is like it's like that HD28 that we had a while back that we got from Cutton. Has a very tight grained, wide grain on the sides like Martin tried to, but the interesting thing is the wide grain is right here. It's a little bit wider here, but it's very wide right here, right on the wings where the wings really start, but all the way through here is very tight. And it also means that you can see, I don't know if you can see in the shot, but that wavy cross pattern that you can see, it's like this whole top is that. So on the right angle, this top looks quite impressive. This top reminds me of some of the 50s and 60s D28s we've got. You can sometimes you'll come across ones that are quite wide, but this is very tight, which means it's got more tension on it, which means it's kind of a bit more designed for playing hard. So I would say with a thumb pick or playing with a plectrum, you could probably get a lot more out of this guitar. I'm just going to play. This is just me using my nails. But you know, these guitars are kind of. So it's kind of like this guitar is your halfway point between moving towards a dreadnought. So having a little bit extra body, but still having the thin kind of OM triple O style depth means it's comfortable to play, but you also have a little bit more to kind of project with. So yeah, I think whoever's going to get this guitar is going to be very happy with it. I must say again that having done a neck reset, full new setup means that it's an absolutely perfect playing condition. If you want to have your guitar set up very well in New Zealand, always check out Warren at Audio Zephyr. Let's see how it goes in. Drop. drop D, and put it down to open G. Yeah, so it sounds very good for open G. Yeah, once again, this is a very highly praised 00028 VS from the Vintage Series. These have been discontinued now. You can't really get 00012 frets that easily from Martin. You can do that through the custom shop. But this is a 2006, so it's got a bit of good time on it. It's in very, very good condition. It has been owned previously by a couple of people, and really all I can say is there's just a couple of very minor finish cracks that you might be able to see in the shot, but very hard to see, and just a few little dings and dents, but nothing really to write home about. So if you want to come down and check this guitar out, you are more than welcome. Yeah, so if you've liked this content, please like, subscribe and share. I'd like to thank Josh Thomas behind the camera for doing the camera work and the video work and the audio work and the Instagram stuff and keeping everything going. Once again, my name is Nick Brightwell, and Garrick Wynn, our owner, he is out right now sorting out some new deals. We've just gotten Sigma guitars, so we have the great beach guitar, beginner guitar, all-round guitar for someone looking for something on a budget. So yeah, we've got a few videos coming your way, and we've got a very, very special guitar coming up very shortly. So yeah, anyway, have a good time, guys. We'll see you next time. Cheers.